Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, great. Okay, let's begin. So what's the plan for today? I want to build a website using purely AI tools. The goal will be to see sort of how efficient we can be using purely AI tools. And I have an idea for a website that I want to build. And let's, a good place to start, a good place I usually like to start is just sort of by brainstorming a little bit with an LLM like ChatGPT, for example. And so maybe that's what we will do first here. Let me log into my ChatGPT if I can. Okay, it's not working, so maybe we'll brainstorm with Claude instead. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about what I want to build for today, the goal. It's a pretty simple project, but it has some potential usefulness, utility for me. It's a tool related to AI coding. So when I start an AI coding project, I like to have a very clear outline, description of what I want to build. I want to pass that to Klein, and Klein can usually do a pretty effective first pass on my project. Just mostly, I'm talking about UI, infrastructure, information architecture for a basic UI, and I've had really positive, good experiences experimenting with this kind of thing. So I'm imagining, just to start, we'll build a website for sort of storing all these basically configuration files. It's a website where you can browse and find a configuration file for your project. And this kind of a configuration file is sort of like a prompt, in the sense it's something that you do give to an LLM, similar to prompts. And there are all sorts of prompt library websites out there. Anthropic has one, for example, where you can like browse and search for prompts for your use case. This is similar to that, except it's going to be a prompt. It's more like a specification for a project. And instead of passing it to a vanilla LLM, it's the kind of thing that you pass to a more agentic LLM like Klein. So let's start by please give me a short project description for a website that will be a library of LLM prompts and configuration files specifically for AI coding applications for the purposes of setting up new software projects. These prompts and configuration files will be passed to agentic LLMs and produce code. Let's see where that leads us here, right? So, concise description. A web-based repository that hosts and manages a curated collection of large language model prompts and configuration templates specifically designed for bootstrapping new software projects. Perfect, see? So nice. Users can search for prompts based on project type, technology stack, or exactly right, architectural patterns. Each prompt is version controlled, includes metadata. Perfect. The library features an organized taxonomy of prompts for different project scaffolding needs, a standardized format for configuration files. Okay, we don't exactly need that, but that doesn't matter right now. Integration capabilities with popular LLM APIs, we don't really need that. Community-driven rating and feedback system, that would be nice to have. Documentation on prompt engineering best practices. Okay, good. This is a good start. Let's copy this, and let's start a new prompt with Claude, and let's ask it to give us basically a YAML file, which is basically just an outline representation of the information architecture for the different pages. So let's make sure we edit this to be exactly what we want. It will contain an organized taxonomy of different prompts. Standardized format, no. I don't care about this. Integration capabilities, I don't care about. community-driven rating system would be nice. And this we can leave out for now. Okay, let's see here. So let's say I have the following project description. Please give me a YAML file containing an information architecture with all the necessary UI components for all the pages. Let's say for the main pages necessary for this website. The following project description, please give me a YAML file containing an information architecture with all necessary UI components for the main pages necessary for this website. Okay? Let's see if that works. A YAML file that outlines the information architecture and UI components needed for this LLM prompt repository. Okay, great. What do we have here? Pages, home and browse. Header. Advanced search filters. Prompt results grid. Okay. Prompt detail. Prompt header. And then so we're going to get rid of submit. I don't care about submit right now. User dashboard I don't care about. Shared components we're going to need. Okay, great. So this is a good starting point. So with this, we're ready to start. So let's create a new project here using Cline. Let's see if this works right now. Let's say, please create a new Next.js project with React. We also want Tailwind CSS. React and Tailwind CSS. The project should be called Prompt Library. Should be called Prompt Library. And let's see if this will work. Yes, run the commands. Of course. Let's see. There we go. Took a little while. Tried to make a commit, but there's no Git repository yet, maybe. Nothing to commit with. Interesting. Yeah, it's a good start. It's going slow. Possibly I can just cancel this, which is what I'm going to do. I don't know why it hung. Let's pull up a terminal. Let's see how we did here. Documents, AI coding, and then it's prompt library. Is there a README here? Yes, there's a README. So if I do npm run dev, does this give us an initial project at localhost 3000? There we go. Okay, good. So that's a good start. It seems it failed to commit, which is annoying. Or it did commit. It did commit. Okay, great. Let's reopen Cursor now, because I want to open Cursor within the newly created project. This was opened one level above. So if I go to open project and I go to this guy, so now we're ready to go. Now we have, we previously created an outline of the project we want to build. So let's add that to our project here. We're going to add a folders called LLMs, where I'll just put files that are sort of for the LLM, for the agentic coding process. And this one will be site outline.yaml. This is an outline of the UI that we want to build. This came from here, from my conversation previously with Claude. And I'm going to paste it in. And we're going to edit this a little bit. The header looks good. The first page looks good to me. The browse looks good. The home page, the browse page, the prompt detail page. Okay, submit prompt we're getting rid of. I don't want any submit prompt right now. And user dashboard we don't need. We're going to get rid of that because no one's submitting any prompt. Shared components we can have. Data models is nice to have here. I don't know if we need that right now. Let's get rid of that for now. We can potentially deal with data model later. But this is just the site structure. So with this outline in place, we can ask Klein to implement this. So I can say, let's do some auto approving. Everything. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, let's do, please read site outline.yaml and implement the UI, the pages, and the UI outlined in that file. Create individual React components for each component in the file, and create placeholder data where necessary. Okay, let's see if that works. Yes, we should auto approve this. I have to figure out why it's not auto approving. I'll analyze the site outline and create React components. Okay, there we go. Great. While this is running, maybe I'll share with you my custom instructions, assuming they're configured properly. Yeah, I have custom instructions here for Klein, which I've been working on over weeks of playing with Klein. The first instruction, very important for AI coding, prioritize using established libraries and packages over custom implementations. Before coding, identify and install relevant external dependencies. Yeah, you always want to rely on external code. That's often true for individual developers, but it's especially true when dealing with AI coding. The less internal code in your project that you need to deal with, the better. It's much safer to rely on external code. So that's number one. Obviously, write clean, maintainable code with minimal comments. Klein has a hard time, or maybe I should say, Claude has a hard time following that instruction, I find. It loves its verbose comments, which are not great. I have this number 3 is sort of a special use case if I add certain client to do comments in the code, and then make a commit afterwards and never ask to run the application. At some point we could talk about why I don't want it to run the application. It's just sort of a quality of life improvement there. I mean, I want to be the one testing. I don't want client to be worried about testing. But this is just sort of chugging away. You notice that in this sort of agentic cycle with Claude, there's a bunch of different steps here. Let's create the homepage components as outlined. We'll start with the hero section. Now let's create the featured prompts grid component. Now let's create the category browse section component. So it's doing a lot. And I'm hoping, if all goes well, we should have a rough outline of a website to work with. We might want to change certain things, style certain things better. There might be some bugs. But assuming that goes smoothly, we can then start talking about adding a backend and adding real data. But step by step here. So now we're in, what mode are we in now? Okay, components, TypeScript errors. We can see what we did so far here. We installed floating UI, which is great. I'm always happy to be installing new packages that make the LLM's life easier. Hero section, featured prompts grid, category browse, quick search filters. The nice thing about this workflow, this sort of a YAML file setup, is that you can get a lot done in one pass, which is often not true with agentic, let's call it vibes coding. I think that's the proper term for it. It's often not true with vibes coding. A rule of thumb, which I'll repeat probably multiple times if you watch me more than once, because I think it's so central and so important, is that with vibes coding, it's so critical to be able to validate the work that you do. So like the cycle is a small atomic unit of work, the AI implements, and then you validate so that you immediately know what's working, what's not working, and you don't risk building upon something that's buggy. But, and so in general, you want sort of the task to be pretty short to sort of facilitate that process. But when dealing with UI work like this, it's sort of an exception to that rule. And you actually can get a lot of UI work done in one pass usually. In part because it's quite easy to validate whether or not the UI is working. Pagination controls. We can see our cost here. A concern with a prompt like this, of course, is if the request is too big, it's more expensive than breaking it up. The request in this case, I mean the workload. If the amount of work that client is trying to do is excessive, it's more expensive than breaking it up into smaller tasks and prompting it one by one. So this is not the most cost-efficient way to do it. More cost-efficient would be to break this up into, one task per page. But we'll see how it goes. Prompt header. So we see already there's some pretty advanced logic or data object model stuff here, like versioning, which will be nice to have in the long term, but in the short term is not going to be a priority. It's very slow today. I wonder if I should switch to ChatGPT, just because it's been so slow. I think we're going to do that after this request. We'll probably switch to a different LLM, even though it's not going to be as good as Claude 3.5. Let's see how it goes. This is the prompt content page. Community feedback component that will handle ratings, comments, and usage statistics. Okay. Hey, so you don't pay for a Cursor sub, but use Klein instead. Good question. I actually currently do pay for a Cursor sub. I don't really use it that much. I canceled my Cursor sub because I bought like a year subscription for Cursor. So I don't plan on renewing right now because I get what I need from Klein. But yeah, I mean, Cursor has similar functionality. In my experience, Klein is much better for this kind of thing. Yeah, this is sort of a staggering amount of code we're writing here, which in this case I feel good about. In other contexts, I wouldn't feel good about that. Again, as I mentioned before, and I'll repeat, like the verification loop needs to be very tight. You never want to risk building on a buggy, unstable foundation. And that's true with all forms of coding. And so because the AI doesn't have strong verification tools to make sure that its work is actually correct, you never really want it to do anything until you've really proven that the previous piece is working correctly. Like I said before, we're violating that rule now. Because of the nature of UI work, often we can get away with violating that rule. Okay, now let's create the prompt detail page that will use all these components. We'll create it in the app directory. Okay. Okay. Great. We need to install Markdown Processing Library. Good. I love it. I love it. I always want to... I think of external libraries as just giving more firepower to the LLM. The more external libraries we have access to, the more well-tested, verified code we're relying on, and the more things the LLM can do easily. Yeah, I mean, I think the cost-effective thing to do, which I'm debating doing, is to sort of start a new task with Klein. There's sort of as the chat builds up, there's like a non-linear relationship with the cost incurred. So there's a temptation here to sort of restart. But the tricky thing, of course, is managing the state, managing the context, so that when we prompt it again, we don't want to lose any of the original task. Okay. Disappointed that it's hanging, but such is life. I wish there was a little more visibility. Okay, I think we're going to cancel. Oh, I kicked off. Syntax highlighting CSS for code blocks. Okay. Yeah, it made me wait like, I don't know, it felt like 30 seconds at least. Okay. Corey Henderson, it should mean you don't hit rate limits as often, or are you already using it? but what are the API costs like per month? So with Klein, the API costs are pretty heavy. I mean, it depends what you're comparing it to. I mean, if you're comparing it to a developer, it's nothing. But yeah, for the experimentation that I do, you know, it's hard to give you an exact number. So Corey Henderson, yeah. So I mean, you could sort of get a sense from our work here today. You know what the API costs are. It's, you know, the dollars, they add up. You know, maybe you're spending like $5 an hour on average, something like that. But you're getting a lot done. So Corey Henderson, I think you're recommending OpenRouter. I've often used OpenRouter. I think I can switch to OpenRouter. Right now, I just plugged in my Anthropic API key. I've used OpenRouter in the past. And if you think, Corey, that there's a benefit there. I mean, the only benefit I'm really worried about right now, the only thing I really care about is the slow response time I'm seeing. I could try switching to OpenRouter, see if it helps that. Okay, where are we at? So yeah, we have this known use state. So basically, what's the error here? Importing a component that needs use state, the React client compiler. So this is an issue that Claude 3.5 struggles with sometimes. There's a use client directive, which needs to be at the top of pages running on the client side. And I think the requirements for this directive changed between different versions of Next.js. And so the LLM often forgets to put them in. Now, if we prompted the LLM with this error, it would correct itself, but I can sort of save some of that time. We don't need to go through the LLM because it's a very simple fix. And header. There we go. So check it out. This was completely hands-off, right? Completely hands-off. I've been in this industry a long time. I've been working in this field a long time. I've built all sorts of projects with all sorts of teams. It's a new thing to be able to make this in one pass, right? And what do we have here? This is really nice, okay? This would be hours of work to get just this one page with fake data at the level that it is now, which of course is quite faked out, obviously. But I mean, it looks really nice, and there's an intricate component hierarchy here, which is really amazing. And so we were able to do that in one pass, which is super, super cool. We can go to a browse page, really freaking nice. We have an error. We can look at the error, probably some sort of bug we're hitting. Yeah, cannot update a component while rendering. Yeah, so there's a bug here. That's okay. This is an amazing start, though, to our project. Excuse me. Really incredible. Home, browse, and how do I click into a particular guy? There we go. And this would be the prompt itself. Yeah, right? It's neat as fuck. Yeah, totally. It's incredible, right? This is incredible. So let me take a step back. Let's talk a little bit. Let's understand exactly what the plan is, what the goal is, why we're doing this, right? I just demonstrated a process that I use a lot when I work with these LLMs. The process is you have an idea, you talk to, let's say, Claude or ChatGPT to sort of refine the idea, define the idea, write a paragraph explaining what the project is, and then you convert that to a YAML representation. Why YAML? YAML is just sort of a computer-centric way of creating an outline, right? It's an outline. We're making an outline of the information architecture of the website, which would be like the pages and the components. And once we create that YAML file, we can just hand that off to Klein, and Klein can just run with it. And it's amazing. And then, of course, you can edit that YAML file to your heart's content to change the page structure, the layouts on the pages, and then pass that to Klein. So this is a super neat process. And what I wanted to do was make a prompt library website for these kind of YAML files, right? So I use this process a lot. It's a great process. So the idea here is to make a website, which is like a prompt library, LLM prompt repository. But instead of like the standard prompt libraries that are out there, this would be geared specifically to the kind of YAML files that are for this particular use case. Like you would give them to Klein, as opposed to giving it to a particular LLM, because Klein is like this agentic process. Okay, I hope that's clear. We can just, as an experiment, pull up sort of Anthropic's prompt library, right? They have one too. There's more than one prompt library in the world, but Anthropic has one. Looks like this. They have a dark mode. I bet our dark mode's not going to work yet. I bet. Yeah, that would need to be wired up. It's not ready for that yet. But you see the general idea is a similar thing. The website is different, but the sort of the use case is quite similar. Our use case here is these are prompts and YAML files or outlines which are specifically designed to be passed to an agent like Klein. Okay, so what's next? I mean, this is a great starting point. This is really cool. We have a known bug, which is this cannot update a component browse page while rendering a different component. Okay, it seems like a very common React data updating bug, component updating bug, very common. But let's think about what our next target can be here. I would love to just close the loop, right? That's what I want to focus on more than anything else. I'm not worried about this bug right now. I don't really care about this bug. Another thing we can have is light mode and dark mode. Not a big lift for Klein, but not, I think, the highest priority. Not the most interesting thing for me right now. Much more interesting would just be sort of closing the loop with data. So I don't care if none of these buttons work, dead links. I don't care about dead links. I don't care if these tags don't work right now. I don't care if searching, filtering doesn't work. I don't care about any of that. I would just want to see like one real live piece of data from a database being loaded up. I think that would be a neat next step. That would be sort of give the sense of having closed the loop. And once the loop is closed, then you can sort of polish, iterate, fix bugs, add new features, pull out features that are not working, or remove buttons that are not doing anything. This is cool also. We got this for free. Okay, I hope that's clear. So let's take stock of where we are right now. I think I asked Klein in my custom prompt to make a commit after every change set. Did it do that? Nope. So what happened? It didn't seem to respect my wishes in more than one respect. Also, it wants to run the app. So we're having issues with custom instructions apparently, because my custom instructions say never ask to run the application. But that's okay. That's not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to be happy. This cost us about $1, which is pretty great. So let's go. Let's make a commit here. We'll call this site, I don't know, scaffolding or something. Who knows? I'm not so stressed about commit messages right now. And let's think about how we're going to close the loop. So the next step would be to add a database. And we have already, from our previous conversation with Claude, some suggestions about a data model. Where is it? Yeah, Claude gave us data models for prompt, user, feedback, which is interesting. I don't think we need a user table right now. We're not going to worry about users because for now it's just my curated repository. The next feature release would be, support for arbitrary users and arbitrary submissions. But this prompt looks good to start. I mean, usage count we could probably do without, but for now it's not a big deal. And feedback would be fine. You can imagine like what's going to be our initial closed loop scenario, right? So what did we do? We produced the following: site outline.yaml. Okay, so imagine that in our database was this YAML file, and it would be like a Next.js. I don't know if it'd be Next.js per se, but it might just be like, we might have like an element here from our database called information architecture for a prompt library website. UI. And then if you were to click it, you would like see a screenshot, you know, potentially. Is that broken? Interesting, this button's not wired up yet properly, but this one is. So anyway, you would see description here, and you might see some code here potentially, and you might see some metadata, and you might see like a picture of basically, ironically, or recursively, this UI, right? Because that was the prompt that generated this UI. So that's sort of the goal of the first pass. But to do one step at a time, we're going to need to create a database. Let's go to Cline, and let's say we do plan. Create a plan for creating a database for connecting this UI to a database of prompts that can be browsed and viewed in this app. Question from Goody: do you use O3 Mini though? I use it a lot in Cursor and found it really good when dealing with more logic-heavy tasks. Yeah, I mean, I have definitely played with O3 Mini. I think actually though with OpenRouter, I think I had one issue using the API with O3 Mini last time I checked. We can check if it's still true, but last time I had to be like a tier 3 API user for ChatGPT. And since I was using OpenRouter, I think I wasn't an O3. Let me just confirm if that's still true. So the short answer is yes, but only in the chat interface, not through the API. GPT. O3 Mini High. Possibly they removed that limit. We can check. All right, let's yeah. I mean, I think we should play around today with a little bit different endpoints. For now, I'm on Claude 3.5, but yeah, I have played around with O3 Mini, and the cost savings is definitely tempting. Even though I generally am more impressed with how much gets done, that I don't worry too much about the cost. But it goes, yeah, I can see both sides of that question. Okay, let's see the strategy we have here. So first, Cline sort of read through the tech stack, read through the project. It came up with the following: database selection setup. Use Prisma ORM with PostgreSQL for type-safe database operations. I like that idea. Schema for a prompt ID title description markdown. What's the markdown for? I don't know. Code blocks. Interesting. Again, I'm a little hesitant to go with this prompt as currently, this schema as I'm currently seeing it. But let's create a new file. Here, we'll call it database strategy. And let's put our notes here of what exactly we intend to build. So the first part, Cline does not make it easy to copy from this response, unfortunately. That'd be a nice feature to bug them about. But we want to use Prisma ORM with PostgreSQL. That's fine. And then the data model. Let's refine this data model. Oops. Okay, prompt ID. I don't know what a CUID is, but I'm sure it's some form of UID, unique ID. Let's just ask ChatGPT. Oops. Having ChatGPT issues right now. I don't know if it's just me. Okay, I'm logged into ChatGPT. Okay, that's good. I just wanted to ask ChatGPT really quickly. I assume it's just their version of UID. Collision resistant unique identifier. Interesting. It's an alternative to UIDs. Huh. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Let's not waste time. Okay. We want an ID. We want a title. We want a description. I don't want markdowns. We're gonna try to keep this simple. No markdowns. No code blocks. Rating we can keep. Reviews we can keep. Author we can keep. Author ID we can keep. Tags we can keep. Created at, updated at. Metadata. Sure. It's a metadata type. Okay. And then feedback. Let's get rid of that for now. Code blocks. No. You know, another thing which we might want is like a picture, but again, we're going to keep it simple. Like a picture would be like a picture of the resultant website. You can imagine also a URL pointing to the website that's been generated from this prompt. Keeping it super simple. Tag is an ID, a name. Why prompts? I guess it links to prompts with that tag. That makes sense. Like if you click a tag, you should see all the prompts. Is that the best way to do it? Tempted to ask if this makes sense. Let's just ask really quick. I don't know. It's a little surprising. The beauty of this LLM workflow is you can always just like ask any question you have. You know, in the olden days it was hard to get answers, but I want to know. Looking at the following data model for a website that contains a list of a library of prompts. Does it make sense? Is it necessary, let's say? Is it necessary for the tag object to point to a list of prompt objects? Are there alternative ways? I think ideally what you would have is a mapping database, a mapping table. Does this... I don't know. I'll leave it very open-ended. I think maybe what it means is that there should be a mapping table between prompts and tags. The short answer depends on your needs, but it's not strictly necessary. Current setup analysis. So you have a bidirectional relation between prompts and tags. Each prompt can have many tags, right? Each prompt can have many tags. Each tag can be associated with many prompts, right? This is a classic many reasons why you might not need prompts and tags. If your main use case is to fetch prompts with their tags, then it's not enough. Okay. Okay. I think this implies a table of mappings. Okay, but let's not stress about it now. Let's this I'll read and worry about later. For now, I just want to keep pushing along. Let's get rid of users. We're not going to have a users table. Metadata ID, prompt ID, prompt, intended use case, requirements, success metrics. No, let's get rid of metadata. Let's put everything in the description just for simplicity. There's no metadata now. It's way too complicated. So that's like a super over-engineered solution. Feedback, no feedback. Okay, the schema will include the following models. Good enough. And then let's do this. Create Next.js API routes for API prompts. Okay. Data access layer. Okay. And then, okay, so we want to make sure that we're not putting too much work into this. Oh, what DB am I going to use? I'm going to be using PostgreSQL for a database. Honestly, I'm actually, as I think about it, I'm starting to regret this. I think instead of using Postgres, I want something lighter weight. I think I want like what's the most lightweight database solution? What's the small SQL database called again? I'm drawing a blank. What's the most? What are some of the most lightweight SQL database options for a small project? Just prompting ChatGPT here. Yeah, SQLite. I actually want to use SQLite for this. I want to keep it really simple. Yeah, it would be easier with Supabase for sure. I've used Supabase in the past. I want to keep everything in Cline land right now, and I think that makes my life harder if I use something like Supabase or Firebase, because Cline can't really control so much that infrastructure. Whereas if I'm doing like SQLite for my purposes, I think that's more than enough. Also makes deployment really simple. So we're gonna do an SQLite. Please set up a local SQLite database schema for the following models. Okay. And then once that's done, we need these endpoints. Create Next.js API routes for, and then give detailed instructions on how to test these API routes and query data and seed the database with data. Okay. Let's ask ChatGPT to format this into a nicer format. Please format the following prompt for concision, clarity, and for concision, please edit and format the following prompt for concision and clarity. Okay. Task. Set up a local SQLite database schema and Next.js API routes based on the models below. UI is user still there. I thought user was removed. Okay. And the following routes. Replace schema Prisma content with the provided schema. What? Seed the database. It's a little bit too much. The first part was really good. Okay. Copy. Didn't fully understand exactly what I was looking for, but it's close. It's close. So we're getting there. So this is should be a little better formatted now. We want this SQLite database with these routes. I don't want a user table, and I want the following routes to be created. And then I just want, like I had before, please provide detailed instructions on how to test the API and query data, API routes, and query data and seed the database with data. Okay. That's going to be our task for Cline, and see how it does. Start a new task. And let's go. Yes, run the command. Good, we're getting an environment file with a database dev.db. Streaming failed. Do you currently work a full-time job? No, I just left my job, Goody. I've worked a full-time job for many years. Like 12 or 13, something like that. But I just left my job. So I want to, explore what can be done with AI coding. I feel like that's more interesting right now. How about you, Goody? Are you a software developer also? Okay, great. We have a seed.ts, which is really nice. Beautiful. Nice. 2 years experience. Okay. Well, the industry is changing a lot. It's a very interesting time to be a developer. Yeah, really cool. So I'm installing TS Node. To be honest, I don't know what TS Node is. What the hell is TS Node? TS Node. TypeScript execution and REPL for Node.js. I don't know why we're installing it. That's interesting. Maybe to run the seed. Probably to run the database seed. Whoops. How do I collapse this? I've completed setting up the database schema, API routes, and seed script. Now I need to create the database and run the migrations. Seed the database. Provide testing instructions. Good. That's what I want to see. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I think the reason I'm doing this stream is I think it's changing a lot. I think that software development is not going to be the same going forward. What is this error? Had an error while seeding the database. What did it say? I see the issue. We need to update the seed script to use CommonJS syntax since TS Node is not configured for ES modules. Okay. Take your word for it. Okay, it seems to have worked. So now we should have some data. And now we need to curl this guy. Nice. Great. Yeah, I mean, this verification step is extremely crucial when doing Vibes coding. But this is verification, right? We asked to set up a database and then set up an API endpoint. And I asked it to tell me how to test it. It told me to run this curl request against API/prompts. And we see the prompts. And the prompts are sort of hard to see in this format. So let's just paste this into JSON formatter real quick. And let's see how it looks. I actually prefer a different one. I prefer this one. So we have prompts, blog post writer with tags ChatGPT and writing. Data analysis helper. Title description. Oh, I see why they had the code blocks. Okay, interesting. Interesting. So currently there's nowhere in our schema for the actual YAML file itself. Okay. We're going to put in the description for now. We're going to worry about improving the schema later. We just want to close the loop. So that's great. That's number one. So that's how we get the prompts. Let's see with pagination and sorting. So this request is page 1, limit 10, sorted by rating. Okay, I don't expect it to look so different. We'll have to test that out later. filter by tag. What did we see here? How many of these had the coding tag? So the first one was writing, the second one was coding. There's 3 of them. Last one was coding. The second one was, so it should only be 1 result for the coding tag. And indeed, I see only 1 result. Perfect. Yeah, this looks like it's working. And search. Search is always very tricky to implement correctly. But we're not going to worry about how correct it is right now. Okay. I'm very satisfied with this result. This is to create a prompt. Nice. So there's a UI for creating prompts. Okay. So now the next step here is clear. The next step here should be obvious. But we want to make sure we can see the prompts in our front end. And I'm tempted actually to make a brand new UI. This is a strategy which I've developed through weeks of doing vibes coding, which is not necessarily the most intuitive, but I think it's actually really important. There's sort of 2 things we're building. We're building a user-facing app, which is designed for a certain use case. But I also want to build an admin UI, which is just purely focused on giving me visibility into my database and able to manipulate my database. So I actually am going to make a brand new route here. I'm debating. No, we're just going to start a new task. Please, is there anything to commit? Probably. Let's make sure everything is committed. Yeah. At some point, I'm going to have to troubleshoot or figure out what I need to do to get client to make commits after every change set, but we're not going to worry about it right now. Git commit. Initial database schema, let's say. Okay. Please create a new root admin where, how would you do vibes coding if you were building from a Figma file though? Interesting question. I'll think about that in a second. Let me come back to this prompt here real quick. Please create a new root /admin where I can easily see all the rows in my different database tables, add new rows, and delete rows from each table. We'll see how it does with that task. We gave it no UI layout instructions. I wouldn't be surprised if it struggles in a first pass, but that's okay. I'm glad that it's asking to install React table. I have no problem with that. Goody asked, how would you do vibes coding if you were building from a Figma file? It's a great question. So for my process, what I would do is I would pass a screenshot of that Figma file to Claude or ChatGPT, and I would say, please look at this Figma file. This is the use case. You know, it might give some text description of the Figma file, what it's for. And I would say, please give me a detailed information architecture for this Figma file. And by information architecture, we mean something very similar to like a component hierarchy, you know. Nav bar, underneath the nav bar is the body. That might be a left sidebar, right sidebar, buttons. And I would spend a lot of time sort of flushing out that YAML file. And in our use case, we went super fast. You know, we just like produced a short YAML file and asked client to implement it because we didn't really care so much. We didn't have strong design direction. But if we do have strong design direction, well, we could say, you know, I want to include in my YAML file a lot more information about like the layout, you know. And so some of it you can do in code after the fact, but some of it you might want to do up front. So really I would play with that file and make it pretty verbose. Go through different iterations, different passes, so that you feel like it really captures everything that you'd want in a first pass on the UI. And of course, there'll be certain things missing. There might be some bugs. The styles aren't going to be exact. The layout won't be exact. And then you might have to go in by hand and tweak by hand. And if you wanted to go pure vibes coding, then you have to converse with client back and forth and say, you know, you missed this, or please adjust this layout. Another thing which you'd want to do in that use case is you'd actually want to expose a UI. If you want to go pure vibes coding and you want to be pixel perfect. Okay, these are experiments that I've run before. I want to do pure vibes coding, and I want a pixel perfect result to match a Figma file. Well, for that, you'll want to ask Klein to build UI components that are usable, that can be used to tweak the UI. So say you give me a configuration page where I can input spacing values, where I can input my font choice, I can input my color selections, things like that, and sort of ask Klein to build for you the scaffolding, the administrative tools that you would need to really tweak the layout as you're going. So these are some of the techniques and tools that are available for the purposes of vibes coding. I hope that's helpful. All right, we're at 24 cents so far. This admin page, great. It says it's done. Let's see how we did. Great, beautiful. Okay, how great is this? Users. It's funny. Okay, I guess we couldn't escape using a users table. I have no problem with that, actually. Prompts. Is it editable? Might not be, but that's okay. Great. Perfect. Can I add a new tag? Tag name. Perfect. Really nice. And if I refresh the page, still there. Great. Yeah. Yeah, see you, Corey. Thanks for stopping by. Let's make a commit. I love to watch you do that too. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've done that off stream. I would love to do it on stream as well. Absolutely. So we keep going here. Now we need to wire up our actual UI. So let's be really specific about what we need here. So I want to say, let's just focus on the browse page for now. That's all I care about. The browse page has a bug where I can't click these links for some reason, which is interesting, but we'll be able to fix that. I guess it's not even a link. Okay. There's no link here, but that's okay. We'll fix that later. So I want to modify the browse page to actually pull data from the database, to load the prompts from the database and link to the prompt. Or a different idea is as follows. Prompts URL should just do a get and query the corresponding prompt. Let's try that. Let's keep it simple. We'll start with the prompts page. We'll do the browse page later. So we'll do one step at a time. So I'll say, please modify let's see where that's set up. Pages. Page.tsx is right here. Prompt with the ID. Where's the ID? Oops. There's the ID. Interesting. Okay. Klein. Please modify /prompt to query the backend, to query the database with the ID passed in from the URL. The page should load and display all fields available, all prompt fields available in the database, and any fields, okay, let's see, and then say the another sentence, and mock data should be displayed for any data that's not in the database schema. Mock data should be displayed on the UI. Okay, see if that works. Cool. So if this works, we'd feel really good because we're really close to closing this loop here. We're in a place where we could start putting all sorts of prompts into our database and actually seeing them, browsing them. It removed my use client. I wonder if this is going to create a problem, because I think we need that use client, but Klein seems to think we have to remove it. This will be interesting. Okay, that was really fast. Let's see what it did. I wonder if we'll have an issue with the use client removal. That'd be an interesting experiment there. Okay, let's see if we got any data. Yeah, needs use client, right? Interesting. I wonder if this will be a problem. Who knows? Okay, so let's tell let's start a new task. And say when I remove. What I'm doing now is I'm going to explain our problem to Klein, and we'll see if Klein can figure it out. If not, there's other things we can do. There's other workarounds, other LLMs we can consult with. But we're going to give Klein, which is basically Claude 3.5, a chance to see if it can fix this issue, because we sort of hit our first interesting bug. If I remove use client from page, I get the following error in my browser. If I put use client back in, I get this different error. Interesting. What happened here? I need to put it back in. Oops. Use client. Okay, what's the error now? Yeah, this is the error. Okay. Can I resolve this issue? Let's see if Klein can figure it out. The error message indicates a conflict between client and server components. When use client is removed, community feedback component fails. When use client is present, the page fails. The root cause is that we're mixing client-side React features with server-side features in the same component tree. The solution is keep the page component as a server component, move the client-side interactivity to the client components. I browse and learn that client can start your server. Yeah. It can, but I don't trust it for that, Goody. I don't want, personally, in my own process, I don't feel like it's a good use of my API requests and my tokens to use it for verification. At the end of the day, the software is going to be used by humans. I think automated testing is good. I think unit testing is really good. But at this stage in the development of AI, I don't think there's a lot of value in AI testing its code. It's even true for humans. There's a principle in human programming that the people who write the code shouldn't be the ones who test the code. Of course, that doesn't exactly translate to AIs because, I mean, AIs and humans are quite different. But I don't think there's a lot of success right now in letting AI burn tokens on trying to run the code and test it, in my experience. But yeah, your mileage may vary. Okay, great. This is different. No error. Perfect. So it fixed it. It fixed it. Oh, no. Oh, God. Okay. I lost my second monitor for a second. I'm hoping it's going to come back. Yeah, we're back. Okay, we're back in business. Okay. This is totally correct. There's no error. That's what I wanted to see. Did I lose my database? No, I didn't lose my database. That's great. So if I copy this and I paste it here, what's going to happen? Okay, error. Cool, cool. Event handlers cannot be passed to client component props. Okay, let's, I want to make a commit and I want to pass that error and let's see how it goes. Let's just pass this error in because this is Vibes coding. And in a different context, we would figure it out ourselves. When navigating to okay, I think Klein feels confident. It's pulling out the on version change callback, which seems fine by me because we're not doing anything with versions right now. So I'm perfectly happy to pull that out. And there we go. There we go. That's it. Check it out. Yeah, this is closing the loop, right? This is my database. Blog post writer helps generate engaging blog content. Here you go. Blog post writer helps generate engaging blog post content. Amazing. Some of this data is all mocked out, which is what we asked it to do. That's perfect. But this is the first step in closing the loop. This is the first step in closing the loop. Now, you know, I can edit this. I want to be able to edit these database rows. So let's ask Klein to support that, right? So let's say, let's make sure to make a commit. Git status. This is prompts page. We're going to say now, whoops. Please modify to support editing existing database rows. Okay. And now this loop is closed. There's a lot of missing pieces, but that's okay. Once the loop is closed, what's missing is, some more database fields, some more data, some more wiring between the database and the UI, some more wiring between, like clicking on a tag and filtering, like the filtering functionality, the search functionality. There's a lot of missing pieces, but that stuff is fairly straightforward once the loop is closed. So I think we're in a really good spot here, which is exciting. So the first thing I wanted to do was edit blog post writer. Ooh, I don't want to just edit the title. Okay, I'm not happy with this. Nope. Let's try again. Please modify so that when editing a database row, a modal dialog appears where I can edit all the fields for that row. I can edit and save changes to all the fields for that row. We need a little more power than what we got so far. But anyway, in summary, what we're getting very close to is having a version, there we go, of this website where there actually is a real repository, a real collection of these agentic coding prompts and outlines with data about sort of what they can do. And it's the seed, the germ of a potential ecosystem, a collection of all these, prompts. And, one day, I think to start, it could be useful for me, right? On a personal level. I build it because I want a place to store all my prompts, all my YAML files that I produce while I code, and maybe other people can benefit as well. The prompts table has been successfully updated. Now we need to install Headless UI. Oh, for the modal dialog. Okay, good. Always happy, right? It's always good that Klein is installing dependencies rather than trying to do it itself. It's a good sign. Okay, let's see. Do I need to restart the app? I don't know. Okay. There we go. So we have some color issues. Pretty jarring. We're close. I wanted to be able to change the rating and reviews. Okay, we're close. Let's do something. Let's do something new. Let's switch it up. Let's do something new. There's a lot of things you can do with Vibes coding, and it's good never to get stuck. It's good to explore different options. So let's try something new. Let's find my admin page right here. 36 lines. Ooh. I'm thinking. Okay, where's the modal? Interesting. Prompts table. Goody. Also, why not let Cursor generate commits for you? You just need to click on a button in the source control section in the sidebar. Really? Let's see. Where's that? I'll try that next. Yeah, I haven't used that feature. I would love to use that feature. Prompts table. Here we go. Prompt. Yeah. Okay, good. This is 150 lines of code, which is quite small. And I want to pass this to GPT 3.0. O3, I mean. O3. O3 mini. Hi. Yeah? I want to say, inside the input box, the star icon. The star icon inside the input box. Inside the input box. This? Generate commit. Nice. Yeah, I see it. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll try that next. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, here we go. I have the following React component for viewing and modifying a database table. Please improve this component. Currently, the font colors and the background and the let's be very clear about the issue that I have. Let's say currently the font colors are white and not visible on the white background of the edit modal. Please make it possible to edit ratings and reviews as well. I have the following React component for viewing and modifying a database table. Please improve this component any way possible and address any possible bugs. Okay. Let's see what we get. This will probably be the last thing I do for today. I've been streaming for an hour and 24 minutes, I think. Close to that. There's a lot more to do on this project. My plan is to sort of tie up a lot of the loose ends off stream. And then maybe post some links or updates to that later. Let's implement these changes that we get. Prompts table.tsx. Okay. Edit prompt modal. Have it there. Huh. Not great, actually. I made a mistake. I didn't pass in the existing edit prompt modal. So let's fix that. Let's go here. This is edit prompt modal. I forgot to pass this into my initial prompt. So I want to try this one more time. So we come here. So we have prompt table and edit prompt modal. So let's edit this. This is prompts table. .tsx. at the bottom. We have edit prompt modal.tsx is this guy. And I think this is better. Yeah, send. Try again. Okay. Improved versions of the components. In these revisions, reading reviews can now be edited. The edit prompt modal now resets its form when no prompt is provided. We've added explicit text color classes, basic error handling. Okay, great. So let's see. Prompt and edit prompt modal. Good, good, good. Prompts table. Takes me to here. Save. Edit prompts modal. 64 is now 208. Okay. And now, refresh. I wanted to modify the stars. Nice, nice. This is now readable. Set a rating of 4 and reviews 5. And I come here and I refresh. Okay. It didn't work because I didn't save it. Not saving. Save is not working. Let's just tell Klein that save is not working. We can make a quick commit. Sure. Cancel. Okay, it's not happy right now. Because it wants me to configure my username. I'm not going to do that right now. What I want to do, though, instead is I just want to confer with Klein really quickly and say currently, let's see, do the other fields work? If I come here and I say blog post writer 1, save, yeah, that worked. Okay. Nice. 2. Yeah. Right. Okay. Just the rating and the reviews. Currently, I can edit the title and description of a prompt using the edit prompt modal. However, I am unable. However, when I try saving a rating change, the change is not persisted to the database. Please investigate. I don't need to write that. Okay. Thank you, Goody, for the kind words. Thanks for stopping by. It's been great chatting with you. I see the issue. The patch endpoint, the rating and reviews fields are not included in the update data object. That makes sense. The file fix was successful. Let's see. Okay, so cool. So we're just noticing that we're able to keep this loop closed. So I made a change to the database. I see these update as I expect. The question is, can I change these? It's not like I really care so much about these fields, to be honest, but yeah, I just wanted to just feel good that this loop is closed, and indeed, the loop is closed. Okay, great. That's really nice. So this is sort of a template, a starting point of a CMS that I can use to sort of dump all sorts of prompts that I would want to share. So I'm going to wrap up the stream for now. The next step is a little bit tedious. I don't know if I'd call it tedious. I think a little bit less exciting. You know, it's the internal wiring, right? The exciting part is standing up the brand new UI. I think that's really cool and really exciting. Standing up the database, getting that to work is really cool, really exciting. Closing the loop is really cool, really exciting. The next step is like making sure all the buttons do what they're supposed to do, that the data we show here is meaningful. I mean, probably remove community feedback for now completely, pull out a lot of stuff. A lot of dead links need to be removed and pulled out. Get the filters to work, which might take a little bit of time. Get search to work, which actually might already be working, to be honest. Nope, not yet. Although we do have a search API, so it's wiring up the front end to that API. So I'm going to do that off stream. I'm going to do that off stream, and I'm going to come back hopefully soon in the next few days, I hope, with a new stream where I'll give an update on the status of this project, and we'll talk about the next Vibes coding experiment that we want to run. And I have a lot of experiments that I want to run, so I'm excited to share those with you. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. It was nice talking to y'all. I'm going to end the stream for now, and I hope to see you again soon.